Hi, it's Peggy from the Pearl Forest. Welcome back to my channel. And today I wanted to share this find I got at the thrift store. It was a brand new set of stamps. It has this plastic tray that I've trimmed things off. These are all the different stamps. I am going to cut this apart to use or this side, whichever, to use for little things as well. So this is made by First Class Stamps Limited, and once again it was from the thrift store. So it's supposed to be rubber stamp poet junior, so you can use these words to make poetry. But I've taken them and just put them together for some word stamps. I'll trim that out later. And it came with this sheet. You got stuck here. Sorry. This sheet of labels that you peel off. They're not good sticky at all, and they were too big, so I saved one to show you. But if I stick it on, it actually goes beyond the stamp and it's really not sticky at all. So this is what I did, is I trimmed it all the way around like that, and then I'm just going to throw away this, and with my art glitter glue I glued the word on. So I'll set this one aside so that I let it dry, but you just have to line it up so the Y is on the same side and then rotate it around. It's not going to be lined up like your expensive stamps where you can know where exactly you're putting that. These are for like kids or something. They're foam with a little bit of rubber, but this at least tells you what the word is. So I'll set that one aside. So today, I hope you're having a good day. I'm making some labels and some words to be used on my things. Now I had 2 label stamps, but I went to do it, I only could find this one, which I stamped some of that and I stamped some of these words. And I'll share with you what I did with that. I can show you what this box looked like too. These are gonna go in a bag or a container. I'm not gonna keep this box, but this is what it looked like. And it was 30 or more % off of the $7.99. So there's 80 stamps, and it came with a stamp pad. I have not tried that part yet, and I don't know whether I'll keep it. So then I stamped some on some coffee dyed paper. Here's some of this rubber stamp, and then I put some words in it. Then I also had some scrap edges from fussy cutting that I stamped on. And I still have more strips to stamp on. This, we're going to put some stamps in here. Just going to take a moment to show you this book that I'm using to, at least at the moment, this is what I'm using. I don't know, these straps are kind of in the way. But so I can tell you what the digital is that I have. I don't think this is going to have enough. One of the things I stamped was these mushrooms, which you'll see over here that I'm using, and they're from Bumfuzzle Boutique. And then I have labels that are from Fox, Tracy Fox Creative. So that's where these labels came from. And then I have these dandelion ones, and they're from Digi Scrap Delights. So I'm trying to make something like that so I can show you when I'm using something. So I took some of the label ones and I thought I would make them a little different and more interesting. And so I used a number of my stamps. I think I used the VersaFine Claire and the Distress Oxide Vintage Photo. This is the little stamp pad that came with it, which we're going to use these for part of this project in a second. Okay, so these are some extra pieces of strips that I did not use yet. And I used this piece of shelf liner to get these spots. They sort of look like squares and sort of like circles. That's one of the things I stamped with. This I just used to stamp off my stamping object to get the ink off of them, and that's kind of fun to use for something grungy. This one had a little bit on it as well. I also used these around the edge of the papers, so if I was stamping near the edge and it was going off, for the most part it went on these instead of my table service, but I found that I think VersaFine Claire is permanent and my paper wasn't always where it needed to be. This is from By the Well for God, and I'm using it also. This is a little jar with light bugs in it, I believe, and this is a circle with like circly bubbles. I don't remember where either one of those came. Not remembering that one at the moment, but you can see I did a lot of these grungy all over. I also have this script stamp and a little tree. So those are the ones I just grabbed to do. Here's some more of the Tracy Fox labels. And they're interesting the way she has them, but I wanted to add some unique stuff. So for these, I've used some of the black on them as well as the antique photo or vintage photo, and some of them I used a combination, like this is a combination. So maybe we'll try that one to see how they look, to trim them out. So then you just cut off the edges. Now, one sheet of labels, you have to watch this if you're buying digitals, because sometimes they're A4, or they will, which is a European, not US anyway, paper measurement, and it will mess up sometimes your printing. I don't know whether I should leave white around the edge or just cut them really close. Let's try cutting it close and see how that looks. Maybe I like that better. Anyway, sometimes they'll come up digitally as portrait when it's really been made to be landscape. Let's turn these over so I can show them to you. So you have to watch that to make sure you're going the right direction. Sometimes it automatically will set itself correctly, and other times it lets the printer just choose, and that may not be a good thing. So here's one with script on it. I've really been needing labels, as you've probably heard me talk about if you've watched my videos, and I finally just did it. I didn't have a lot of time, but I took the time to go get the stuff and make them. I'm making a traveling art studio, And so I'm going to be doing some fussy cutting and making of things in there. This is the little shelf liner and some of the script stamp. So you can see how those look. Let's see. I'm going to do like a red one or something. I'll just cut out a few of these so you can see how they look out cut out, and you can be using them. I'm going to be making a lot of ephemera. So I thought I'd make myself like a little decorative buffet that I can set out and get my bases or my plate, and then choose from the buffet what I want to put on my plate or my pizza, or however you might want to mentally think about it, to decorate the bases that are already made. Now these little scraps in between here might get used with some clusters. So for these labels, this is just what I would do, is trying to see what line I want to cut that on. I guess this one. I would just cut them out like this. So that's these. But now these ones that are like all over and have pictures and stuff, let's see. Which one do I want to choose? Oh, and then I'll show you with those things too in just a second. Let's do the mushroom one. That just sounds fun. There's another label one. Okay, so you can take any kind of a shape that you want to be your label. You can do circles, squares. I'm just going to do these two for the moment. And you can do them with an ink pen. I'm trying to decide if I want an ink pen or a pencil. You can do them really random on the back where you don't know what you're getting. Or you can do them on the front and you're choosing. Whoops. Yeah. Just gonna move these so you can see better. So let's try it both ways. Let's see, do I have an ink pen that I want to use? Yeah, that's black. So we can put this, we don't really want to be over the crack, I don't think. So we can put this on here, and I can go back around this with a more of a marker style if I want like a border. So here's one that we can do, and we can make a row of these to cut out. You can see it's going to have some fern and some stamp of antique photo and the little shelf thing and some script that's real pale. And now we're on this one, we're going to have some mushroom and some more of that fern. So a little bit of fern and a little bit of mushroom. When I printed these, what I did is I did double of them so that I could play with them like this to make some things for my buffet. So we'll do a row of these ones that are this size, and I'm making them vertical, but you can also do horizontal. You want to make sure you get it dark enough when you go across darker things. Let's see, will this fit in here? Yeah. Let's make two horizontal ones. I think they'll fit. Just barely. Hope you're having a good, productive, fun day. I think I'm going to go out and maybe work a little bit more on my traveling art studio. I have a name for it, but I just have to make sure that somebody else isn't already using that name. Okay, so here's 4 vertical and 3 rectangle. This is like one of those jars here. Let's try some, just use the Distress ink small one. We can do some little square ones. Just get like a little bit of stuff. We'll just finish the row with this size maybe. You can also punch them out with our punches. That might be better with a little bit bigger one for there, so maybe I'll wait. Let's see, do I have a big circle? Well, my can of soda. See if I can keep my pen about the same angle. And we can go around with a marker to kind of even that up a little bit. Might as well have a little while it goes by. So let's trim a few of these out. Let's see, do I have a marker handy? I should have planned ahead and had that. I guess we're just gonna have to use our ink pen still. So I think just for this one, I'm gonna just go ahead and do some kind of wonky, sketchy circle. Just make that part of the design. That can kind of even up, like we went in here a little bit, that can kind of even up our circle a bit. And if you have something go kind of weird, well, maybe you can cover up part of that with something else when you use it if you don't like it. So you can go around like that and darken them up. Maybe you want it to have a double border. So I'm just going back and putting another border inside. And you can add this later. You can also just do the distressing around the edge as well. Okay, so let's see what these look like trimmed out. So I don't know if I could call this circle here a label, but I guess it can just be a really big label. Or just a decorative element. So that's what you get for that one. And we'll cut out some of this rectangle shape we made. I'm not very good on the corners, so I might use the corner rounder to get it more uniform. Mine seem to always be a little crooked when I do them by hand. So we know our limitations, it's better. So there's a cute little vertical one, which you can add a word to it. Let's see one of these square ones. Here's the one with the double line. I'll get between these two here. I think it's easier if you don't make them too close together. Okay. Round these corners. So you can just find things to trace. See, these are very similar size to the Tracy Fox labels. That one is. And then the rectangle ones, see, we'll do one of these mushroom ones. It doesn't really matter what you use to draw your shape if you're going to cut on the line, because it really isn't going to show. So an ink pen can work well, and then you can distress or something around it. And I just have these on regular copy paper, but you could have them on cardstock or something as well. So here's another one. We'll cut that out in a little bit. So let's see if we distressed around the edges. So see, you can make your own labels. And this isn't obviously the only way you can make your own labels. But you can use scrapbook paper or digitals, coffee dyed paper, stamps, a number of things. And this is just on white paper. I didn't cut out any of the coffee dyed one yet. But if you want your white paper to look less white, there's a fix for that. Like say this one, maybe you want it not only to be distressed around the edge, which if it's lightweight paper, you have to kind of find a way to hold it as stiff as you can, or put something behind it. But if we just come in here and kind of smudge it a bit, then it doesn't really look white anymore. So that's an option. You can just kind of randomly do a little on these like that. You still have the stuff from the backgrounds on them. Okay. The other thing is when we stamp them like this, I really wish I had the felt pen one here. What is this one? Oh, it's a Sharpie. We'll try both. Sharpie might be too fat. So you can just go around these to make your own hand frame. And it works best if you go around more than once, because you're probably not drawing it around perfectly. So it can look like that. Or you can have a wider pen, and it might help to save the corners for later, and then you can curve them, or I just thought right now maybe I'll just make them little straight corners like that. And then when you cut these out, you have your own labels. So this is the black ink with those poetry stamps and a Sharpie hand-drawn border. just on white paper. This is the same, except it's an ink pen and kind of a by hand sloppy edged border. So I don't know, maybe I'll try to round these corners just a little. Maybe we'll leave them all on here so you can see the difference. And the one thing about that poetry thing is it had all different kinds of fonts for the different words. You also can cut them out and then do a border. Where'd the Sharpie go? I know you're probably right here in front of me. So you can just go around with a pen after you cut it out. Kind of like distressing the edge. Sometimes this is more challenging to get it to be kind of straight. So you can do like that. You can also come in and just draw in a border. So now we have that for a label. And on our coffee dyed one, just kind of aim for going straight here. Get it down to the size we want. Kind of the straightness. Then we'll just distress the edges of this one. And with the coffee dyed paper, this looks nice, and it gives it a border like a label. I hope this gives you some ideas of some things that you can do with yours. So there's one. And then when we made our own stamps on things, like these two, okay, so let's see. I'm gonna just cut this one out as it is and just leave it all in black and white, and then I'll do something different with the other ones. So if you have a rubber stamp like this, you can make little stamp things and put words in, or leave them empty, or put numbers in, or put magazine words in. Write your own stuff in there. You can print things in a word processing program and print your own words. I've done that before. And for our travel journal, I'm going to show you how to make your own stamps too, which we'll be doing before long. Okay, so before I cut this one out, I thought we could take a pen, and by doing it beforehand, it's not as difficult to color because I don't have to worry about the edges. I can just keep this straight on this part. I'm going to leave the whole white though. Thought This pretty pink color went nice with the word sweet. I'm sure we'll find some things to put it with. And this is just a highlighter pen. It says highlighter. It's from the Dollar Tree, which I don't know that we can call it the dollar store anymore. It's not a dollar. And so then we can cut this one out, and we have a pink frame to go around a stamped word. So a stamped frame colored with a highlighter and a stamped word in the center, and you could even do another color inside there. I'm going to leave it white for right now, but you can also use the different script and other stamps to stamp across these and then put them in there, or cut out little rectangle pieces and insert them. Lots of options. So hopefully you're finding some ideas that you can use in card making or junk journals or your planner, your artwork, or whatever it is that you might want a text or a text box. So here we have for today. We have these ones that we've made, whether they're a digital that I've stamped on, whether I've stamped and made my own borders, stamped a border and stamped with the words, stamped the word on coffee dyed and vintage photo outlined it, stamped on a digital using objects to trace around. Like for instance, we use the distress ink, and we use the little stamp pad that came with the letters. And if you need to label your stamps, you can use art glitter glue and glue something on, whether you write it yourself and glue it on, or whether it comes with something like this. And if it's too big, just trim it down, and then you know what your stamp is. So thank you for joining me today. This is Peggy from the Pearl Forest, and this was stamping. Thank you. Have a great day full of fun, creativity, and always, most importantly, love.